We got the Jays on.
Mm-hmm.
Got the U.S. Open on.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to talk Oilers. Let's get into it with the lead. Mainly because I don't want to talk about Justin Thomas shitting his pants to start today's U.S. Open. I wager heavily on that guy every freaking tournament, and I am wildly disappointed more often than not.
But he had
Damn it, JT.
He had a great episode on Full Swing.
He did. Him and Jordan Spieth. They're best buds, kind of like me and you.
Yep.
Just like me and you. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday, live from the Sports Closet studio. Sportscloset.ca is where you can check out everything they have in stock. Vladdy's up to bat right now. Certain someone on this show may have Vladdy over 1.5 bases in this ball game.
Well, it ain't me. I don't think it's Gavin.
Good investigative reporting there, Liam. Owen is in on the Oilers Nation YouTube with the first comment of the day. He says, I hope Evander can bounce back if he's fully healthy to start next season, plus a 900% save percentage. Campbell, we should be elite. I think that's an interesting point. Vladdy struck out, son of a gun. That's a good point. We're going to talk about Evander Kane. He's the title image on today's show for a reason. He is the subject of our player card, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. We also have a trade machine for AMA Travel. It's a spicy 3-way trade that the AMA Travel trade machine has cooked up. And we also have our Sherwood Ford GIANT off-season question for the program today. First off, we got a trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do, but it's not important.
Well, what is it?
The Stars have traded Fredrik Olofsson's UFA rights to the Avs.
Whoa.
Who the hell is Fredrik Olofsson?
He's a former second-round pick from Sweden. That's my guess. I actually don't know that.
You actually don't know anything about him?
No. I'm assuming he's from Sweden.
2014 eighth round pick. No, 8th pick of the 4th round in 2014.
8th round pick.
I was like, Jesus, they don't do that anymore, do they? He's played 28 career NHL games and he's 27 years old. I'm a little bit confused why team. Wait, why?
What do the Avs know?
No, sorry. The Stars acquired it. Oh no, yeah. The Stars traded his rights to Colorado. Why? He's 27 years old. He's played in 28 career games. He has 1 goal. Why are you trading for his rights? Just wait.
What did they trade? Yeah, I don't think people are fighting over this guy.
Future considerations.
Oh, that could be anything. Could be dinner next time they're in Colorado.
Could be dinner at the draft. That could be something they're wagering around this time of year. All right, so we have that trade. We also have another piece of breaking news we need to get to that is significant. The New Jersey Devils ink Jesper Bratt to a big money extension, Liam. News of this one coming down just a couple of minutes before our show. The AAV, $7.85 million, and it's going to go the full 8 years. I'll start on this one. I love the deal. I love it. This is a guy who scores a ton of goals. This is a guy who is a legitimate play driving top line winger. He is that good. And when you put him with Jack Hughes or you put him with Nico Hischier, you put him with whoever down the middle, you have a legitimate top line. To get that guy locked up, $7.8 million. He's 24, so you're getting the prime of his career and really no junk years at the end of it. And by year 3 or 4, when the cap's over $100 million, this guy takes up well under 10% of your salary cap. You're laughing. You're absolutely laughing.
Yeah, I think this is a very good deal. I mean, Jesper Bratt has now become a back-to-back 70-point season guy. I think the value lines up very, very well. It's funny, Gavin and I were looking before. I was like, did he score 40 goals this season? And I didn't realize how big of a jump he had from 3 years ago to 2 years ago. He had like 30 points and then he went to like 75. It's kind of wild. But other contracts in comparison, Kevin Fiala makes the same. Sveshnikov is just a little bit under that for 8 years. And Cole Caulfield just recently got a similar deal too.
Yeah, so it's pretty much right in line with what all these guys are getting. Like, it makes sense. It seems like a clear-cut negotiation. One of those instances where the player obviously wants to be there. The team obviously wants to keep him. So sign for what every other young player signs for, kind of thing. The deal that I'm actually wondering about now and the impact this will have on it is Elias Pettersson out in Vancouver. Same age, 24. Also, what is he? A legitimate play driving forward, but he's a center.
He gets way more.
He's got to get way more.
He had 100 points this year, right?
You got right. Did he have 100?
I think he might have got 100 exactly. Have a look. A lot of predictions on this show so far.
Yep. Very ill prepared. 102.
That's right.
And he almost popped home 40. So what's Pettersson getting, man? Like, he might touch 11. Is that crazy?
No, I don't think that's crazy. I was thinking 10. Let's call it
But if you're going to go the full 8 and you're Pettersson, I almost sit there and go, why would you go the full 8 if you're Pettersson? Like, you're probably worth 5 by 9 right now at minimum. 5 by 9, I think, would be a decent number. And then when you're 29, go get your last big ticket when the cap's at $110 million and you'll get $17 million a year. If I was Bratt, like I said, legitimate top line guy, he's not franchise level star player. If I'm franchise level star player right now, I'm not doing 8 years. There's just no way. I think it made sense. Sorry to keep cutting you off. I just have a lot of thoughts in my head right now, and I want to get them all out. If I was Zegras or Caulfield, that makes sense because you're 22. It's your first contract out of your ELC. Sign till you're 29, and you're going to get a big ticket when you're 29 again, right? And if you're Pettersson, I think you can almost do the same thing. Like, don't go 7. Don't let this thing run till you're 31, because then teams are going to sit there and go, I don't want to give you 8 years.
Do you think that Austin Matthews has influenced this kind of ideas a lot more? I know, because, I mean, what did he get? 5 years for, how much is he on a year? 10 million?
Yeah.
I think
11.6.
11.6.
God, they got raked. Dubas got raked over the coals by that, eh? That and the Marner thing made no sense. He paid star market value for 2 guys who clearly wanted to be there, and he let them both walk right. You didn't buy a single UFA year, man. Brutal.
It's interesting. I think players are all thinking that way, right? It's like, I want the Austin Matthews deal, but I'm sure other teams are looking at it being like, I don't want that to happen to me, where it's like coming into the summer where you can sign Matthews and there seems to be so much uncertainty around it. I would, if I was signing Pettersson, I would probably sign him to 11. The cap's going up by so much the next few years. Like Frank said the other day, like likely 18 million within the next 3 years.
If I'm the Canucks, I don't have a problem with 12 and a half. Like it's going to just skyrocket.
I know he's only been a 100-point guy once, but also I think this team, as much as we laughed about the Canucks and how they literally have no money, they owe money to the league, actually. You got to sign this guy. They've got a lot of players that are kind of coming through as well. I think the Canucks are going to be somewhat of a dangerous team in the next few years, and this guy is going to lead the way.
Tyler Mulick says Pettersson is a $10 million player. 100% he is. 100% he is. I just wonder about the term. I even look at Matthews, man, and I'm like, okay, you're going to be a UFA next year at 26. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Austin Matthews sign a 3-year deal.
Oh, no, me neither. I think Matthews is all about the money. I think literally you look through his career and everything he's done.
Going to play in his draft year overseas. Money.
Yeah, signing a 5-year ticket so he can get more money after that. Like, he's the only person you ever see on TV because he's very good at marketing himself. You don't think he's getting some cash for that stuff? Like, he's making more than it looks like. I can tell you that much.
Our pal Adam Seaborn, I think, had, he did. Yeah, don't look at my screen, okay? Because I want to ask you. He had a tweet about the most off-ice endorsement deals across the NHL.
Okay.
Who do you think the top 5 are? Well, drop your guesses in the comments.
I did see number 1 on your list, so I know it's Mitch Marner. He's number 1.
You cheater.
I saw it. You told me not to look too late.
Ruin the freaking game.
Okay, Matthews has got to be on there.
Yeah, now you've got 2 of the 5.
So is McDavid on the list?
Yeah, you got 3. 2 more.
Crosby.
Not even in like that list.
Oh, is Bo Horvat on the list?
Go Auto, baby. That's 4. 1 more.
What conference do they play in?
East.
Are they Canadian?
Yes.
Eastern Conference, Canadian. Brady Tkachuk's not Canadian. I don't know.
Brad Marchand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Adam Seaborn had the tweet. Marner has 10 individual brand deals. Marchand has 9.
Oh, I guess Marner's on that
Skip the dishes.
Yeah.
Leafs Morning Take.
Yeah.
Proud sponsor.
Yeah.
Matthews and McDavid are tied at 7. Horvat has 6. Ovi's at 5. Suzuki, Kopitar, Burakovsky at 4.
Why?
He's got to have some stuff going on in Seattle.
That is the strangest one.
Tavares is at 3.
They have Burakovsky doing adverts, but they don't have Jordan Eberle. What was he? The ATB man?
Him and Giordano, yeah.
Come on, he's got the experience. On-camera experience is vital.
So Adam Seaborn says that this info is from Sponsor United, and they use only things they believe to be national sponsorship, regional and local deals not included. How does Andre Burakovsky have 3 national deals? What companies are? I want to talk to those companies because I got some sweet advertising space to sell you.
Yeah.
Some people were guessing Stamkos. I think it's a good guess. Sam Squatch said McKinnon. That's a great guess. Someone else said Nylander. Dr. Gonzo said Makar. Makar would have been a good guess as well. JT said Gretzky. Active players, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, we know Wayne does well in the corporate space. All right, let's continue along here with the show, I guess. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a second.
I'll get us back on the train of thought with the show.
Okay.
27 likes, 124 people watching.
Bullshit.
Pump it up.
Yep. Come on, pump it up.
It's my dad's favorite song. Every time we go to any sporting event and that song comes on, he stands up and punches the air as much as he can. He even does it at home.
Yeah, well, you gotta pump it up.
You know, he gets so fired up and then he tries to get me involved. So, Dad.
Sherwood Ford Giant off-season question time for our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. We're in the month of June. Every test drive that you, the listener, goes in and takes, they'll make a donation to the Strathcona Community Hospital Foundation. Shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. We are halfway through the month of June. We are 13 days away from the NHL draft. We are 10 days away, 11 days away until I'm in Nashville doing Oilers Nation every day from the NHL Awards and NHL Draft. We got a spot picked out at a bar. It's going to be a lot of fun. All brought to you by our friends at AMA Travel. But let's stick with the Sherwood Ford Giant offseason question, Liam. And today we're playing a little hypothetical game. If the Oilers were gifted $5 million in cap space, what would they do with it? What's your answer?
Is this just a $5 million flat? Is that additional?
The cap space fairy comes down to Ken Holland and says, here's $5 million. What do you want to do with it, Ken? What do they do?
I'm going to try and sign Bouchard to a 5x5 or a 4x5 or something like that.
So you're going to use the money to go long-term on Bouchard?
Yes.
So I threw this question out there on Twitter, got a handful of replies. Tanner Dorian says only one answer. It's sign Bouchard to an 8-year deal. Sloppy said sign Bouchard long-term, trade for Konechny. Can't do both of those with $5 million, but I understand the thinking there a little bit. Brandon said easy long-term deal for Bouch. Scott said put in a massive trade offer for Brett Pesce, who some consider the right shot Matthias Ekholm available on the market. D's in and says sign Bouch long-term. Yeah, someone else said, you just sign Bouch. Tyler Mulick says you trade for Tom Wilson or sign Vlad Tarasenko. Tarasenko would be an interesting one.
That is interesting.
Anytime you could pop a 40-plus goal potential guy into your lineup, you're laughing.
That's kind of a name that I think we're forgetting is a free agent this summer.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming here by any means, but you feel like he should be a little bit. He's only 31. Actually did fairly well in New York in this short time.
Here's where I'm going.
Mary.
The answer is not sign Bouchard long-term.
No?
What's the goal next year?
Win the cup.
You make every decision they make, and we just watched Vegas do this. The NHL's a copycat league. Teams love this stuff. You go make next year's team as good as possible if you're the Oilers. Yes. Sure, you're going to have to pay Bouchard more in 2 or 3 years. Whatever. Cap will go up. You'll deal with it then. Who cares? You'll have contracts off the books. All that stuff. You go out and you make this year's team as good as possible. Maybe you do go finally buck up and trade Cody Ceci, and then you have $8 million to spend or something like that. But I think you make next year's team as good as possible. I would take the $5 million. I would try to trade for Wilson or Konechny. Make next year's team as good as possible. That's got to be the mantra here. Like, yeah, you can keep an eye on the future at sometimes, but now's not that time for the Oilers. I want chips in the middle. I've never been one to sit here and do the whole, the window's closing. You have 2 more years of Leon Draisaitl till he's going to cost you a ton of money. You need to make these next 2 years count. They blew it by not going as hard as possible when these two, 97 and 29, were on their ELCs. They absolutely blew it. They had that deadline in 2017. They got Desharnais. They should have went way harder than that. And don't make that same mistake here. You got to go all in. I'm not talking push 90% of your chips in and save 10%. I'm talking 100% of your chips got to be in every summer.
Well, yeah, if they now have hypothetically $10 million to play with, then that changes things massively. But you kind of look back at what Colorado got value deals on a Burakovsky, right? When he was there, they managed to get Nazem Kadri come in and kind of change things. And maybe that's a better approach to it. At 2 or 3, not lower down the lineup, but deeper forwards and help out a little bit there, shake things up. I think the Oilers need to find a way to find more of an identity in the bottom 6. A variety of identity, I think, is a good way to do it. Just different players, So, yeah, I mean, I think either approach kind of works.
Yep. Daniel Nugent-Bowman today in The Athletic said, reading between the lines, it's clear Ken Holland sees a 1-year deal for Bouchard. Mentioned the cap going up in the next few summers. So he says Bouchard 1 year in the $3 million ballpark.
I'm fine with that.
The only thing there that'd be worrisome, because again, Bouchard's he can't go to arbitration.
No,
he's not at that point yet in his career. Next summer he can. So if you're Bouchard, it almost makes sense to punt it a year down the road and wait till you can get to ARB. You might be a $5 million ARB case. But he does mention the idea of offer sheets. Gregor and Saravalli had that talk today on the rundown, and like, you got to look at it from all perspectives. It's easy to sit there and say the Oilers are in a bad spot and offer sheets possible. Okay, well, let's dig a layer deeper. Evan Bouchard is very early in his NHL career. By quarterbacking the #1 power play in NHL history, you're going to set yourself up for such a good payday.
One day, yeah.
What do you want to do? Take the offer sheet from Arizona, because they have a bunch of draft capital, or Detroit, and go to one of these teams that's just trying to get in the playoffs. Maybe they have a couple good forwards, but no one at that level. You want to go there and try to quarterback that power play and set yourself up for future value? No. It makes way more sense. Makes way more sense for him to stay in Edmonton. So Bouchard agreeing to the offer sheet, I don't think makes a lot of sense. And then you also have to go look at the way the structure works for offer sheets and what teams would have to give up, right? I'm pulling it up right now.
So what is it? Under like $2 million, it's like a 4th round pick or something.
Okay, so 1 to 1.4 million on an offer sheet is no compensation.
Okay.
1.4 to 2.1 is a third. 2.1 to 4.2 is a second. Okay, Edmonton's matching anything under 4.2. I
think Edmonton's matching anything under like 6 or 7.
So the next one, which is a 1st and a 3rd round pick, is 4.2 to 6.3. Edmonton's matching up to 6.3. You make it work, right? Like you don't give up Bouchard for just a 1st and a 3rd. The next tier is 6.3 to 8.5. So if you really want to put the boots to the Oilers, you go 8.5 for 1 year. At that point, Edmonton would get a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd back. Not Bouchard value at all. But there's also only 3, 6, 9, 11 teams in the NHL who can even afford it.
So all those teams there in the color are the ones that could afford to do it.
Anaheim, Arizona, Buffalo, Calgary, Carolina, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Nashville, Seattle, St. Louis.
Okay, now let's quickly do this where what teams would even need him. So he wouldn't accept a deal to Anaheim, Arizona, Calgary, I would assume. Chicago.
Like maybe he would be like, oh, yeah, Chicago will play with Bouchard. I'll quarterback that power play. They're going to give me $8.5 million for a year and then re-sign me to a long-term deal after.
Detroit isn't doing it.
I don't think Detroit would do it.
There's a respect factor in some cases.
Yeah. Eisman wouldn't do it to Holland. They have Mort Seider.
Yes. Yeah. Also that. Buffalo's not doing it. They have Darlene and Power to eventually pay. Carolina actually have a pretty stacked blue line, so I don't think they'll
and
need
they're
them.
in cap trouble. Dallas is in cap trouble. Nashville doesn't need them. They got Barry. Seattle, like, again, Seattle, Anaheim, Chicago, I think are the 3 you'd look at and be like, maybe they do it. But again, are any of them going to dish $8.5 million out for 1 year of Evan Bouchard to even make Edmonton flinch? No way. I don't. And again, he's got to accept it. That's the thing.
That's the other thing too. This isn't just like they're offering it, I have to take it. Like Bouchard has to agree. The only team on that list I could see considering it would be St. Louis. Just looking at the team,
look at how much money are they spending on D right now, man. You got
Falk,
Krug, Parayko, Leddy, all making north of 4. Their mantra this offseason is to get rid of one of those. They can't afford an $8.5 million.
Maybe if they get rid of Falk, who's taking Falk?
Right. So
maybe, but I mean, out of all of those teams, that's the one team I think would be a realistic option-ish. I don't really think any of them are that realistic.
I think it's one of the rebuilding teams that would throw 8.5 at them. And that's it. Everything else, Edmonton's matching.
Seattle, maybe.
I don't know, man.
I don't think any of them, but if there's a couple in there that might speculate. If there's one rebuilding team, who do you think it would be?
Anaheim. Yeah. But again, they have like Drysdale and stuff and Zellweger. Yeah. They don't need them. So then I'll say.
What about Montreal?
They don't have the draft capital.
Oh, yeah, they're not on the draft capital.
Chicago, right? You want a puck mover for Bouchard. You have all the cap space in the world. Maybe Chicago is the one team you watch, but like we don't see them. We've seen 2 in the last decade,
and they've both involved Montreal and Carolina
because they got into a pissing match. So like, I don't know. I just don't see it. Tyler Mulick said, it's the Ducks' revenge for Lupul. I thought it was Penner. Penner we offered.
It was Penner, yeah.
Yeah. I get it, though. Yeah, revenge narrative.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
I just... Get over it.
Again, Bouchard will be back next year. An offer sheet, like, I don't think someone's out there trying to screw the Oilers so hard that they would give Evan Bouchard $8.5 million for a year. You would also have to remember what comes after that $8.5 million: arbitration and qualifying offers, right? So you're gonna run the risk of Bouchard being like, I'm taking the qualifying offer next summer of 10 mil or whatever the hell it'd be. Like, there's no way.
Since 2010, there has been 5.
Okay.
Kotkaniemi, which was not matched, and he went to Carolina. Obviously, Sebastian Aho, which probably benefited Carolina more than anyone. Ryan O'Reilly to Calgary.
Do you remember that one?
I vaguely do now that I see it.
So he was holding out, right?
Yes.
And it was in the lockout shortened year, but Calgary didn't read the CBA right, is how the story goes. Okay. And if he would have agreed to that, Calgary would have had to put him through waivers.
Oh, no.
So they would have signed him, and like Columbus, I think, was in last or some shit. Like Columbus could have picked him up for nothing.
Why would they have had to do that then? Was that just a rule?
I think when like the Oilers signed Demers, and it was like, Jason Demers, to get his contract into an NHL deal once the season has started, you need to run him through waivers.
So the only team that could have signed him would have been Colorado.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Calgary almost, and I mean, O'Reilly in a way almost screwed himself, but he wanted to go back to Colorado. He wanted to not sit out the season, so it made sense.
Shea Weber was the other one, the 14-year deal.
That one was
Philadelphia. Yeah, they really put him in a pretzel there. And Nicholas Hjalmarsson,
which was the Sharks
and Chicago for $14 million for 4 years.
But the Sharks did that because then they knew it would force. Oh my God, second of the game. Let's go. Danny Jano. They did that because they wanted Chicago to have to make a decision between Hjalmarsson and Niemi. What happened? They match on Hjalmarsson. They acquire
Niemi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there wasn't really any like Penna. So Penna and Cochran and Niemi are the only two.
Who offer sheeted Bacchus?
Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
3 years, $7.5 million. It's kind of funny just to see the money that was involved.
That was like a $2.5 million a year offer sheet on David Bacchus. No shit, they matched it.
Yeah, there was 1, 2, Philadelphia, Vancouver, $1.9 million for Ryan Kessler for 1 year.
Yeah.
You think Vancouver weren't going to accept it?
That's what I mean, right? Like, people are always going to match. Teams are always going to match the stuff if they like the player. They'll make it work. I like this one from Naeem, though. I'm more worried about an offer sheet for Clouder. Can't afford anything over $2 million. Like, that's the one where if you're Edmonton and some team loves Ryan McLeod and they offer sheet him at $4.289 million. So just under that threshold where Edmonton is like, shit, that's too much money for us to bring this guy back. But then Edmonton's also like, shit, all we'd get is a second round pick for giving him up. If you want to put the boots at Edmonton, offer sheeting Ryan McLeod might be a better way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy that still
don't accept it, Ryan.
Yeah, as a bright future ahead of him as well. I mean, you're right. That would be the one that maybe we should be a bit more worried about. Does he have arbitration rights? Yeah. So maybe that benefits him a little bit more than signing off.
Yeah, it does. Because like Dom Luszczyszyn's projection on him is like insane. It's like a $4 million deal.
What?
The analytics crowd loves Ryan McLeod. I love Ryan McLeod too. Someone else said they don't see what everyone else sees in him. He's fast with no finish. It'll come, man. He's still young. Like, he's 23 years old. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't come in these next few years, then I'll agree with you. But I'm willing to bet on Ryan McLeod having a breakout year at some point.
4-point-something million for Ryan McLeod.
That's what his like player card projection was or whatever. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to look at the numbers that are right in front of you.
He produced at like almost a 40-point pace, almost playing no time with McDavid or Draisaitl.
Like, he had a good season, but he's also had injuries throughout his young career so far and all that kind of stuff. I think that weighs into it a little bit more.
Yeah. So the answer to the Sherwood Ford GIANT question of if the Oilers were gifted $5 million in cap space, what would you want them to use it on? You said go long-term with Bouchard.
Yes.
I said spend it on the roster. Go get Wilson. Go get Konechny. Go get whoever. Go get that guy. Mm-hmm. Make your team next year as good as possible. There was a comment in here from Davin. Everyday listener, we love having you on the show, but I got beef with your point.
Wow, Davin.
Yeah. You're the new Chell Iverson. No, I'm kidding. Davin says we need players with cup experience. I want to dig into that a little bit because I think it's a little bit nonsensical.
I also think the Oilers have that.
Ekholm.
Brett Kulak.
Sure, Brett Kulak did it in the bubble year.
Yeah.
But they've been on a couple of long playoff runs now. The Oilers have the experience of losing in the conference final.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers have the experience now of getting bounced in the second round. They've lost the eventual Cup champions twice. The idea that there are these magical lessons you get, and when people talk Cup experience, they almost always talk about guys who won the Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Did Florida not get as much experience as Vegas this year?
You could argue they got maybe a little bit more because they learned from the hard experience.
Yeah. I don't love the whole, you need to go get guys with Cup experience, because once you've played in the playoffs, you know what the playoffs are about. There's a little bit of something, sure, of like the grind of getting to round 3 or 4, but this Oilers team's been to round 3.
Yeah.
Came within a couple games of getting there a few times now, 2017, this last year as well. I think the idea of like, oh man, you need to go get guys who've got rings, who can sit in the room and be like, rah, look, I won with the Hawks in 2012 or whatever, and I just don't really buy that all that much.
I do think those guys have a lot of value. I would like to put that in there. Like, I think adding Duncan Keith last season was beneficial.
But he's not just a dude with rings. He's a Hall of Famer.
Sure, he's another level of that, I suppose. But like, I think having those guys with the experience, like I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was after game 1. Or maybe it was just in general throughout that run. Like the players were just like, yeah, you could just look down the bench and there was Keith, and he just seemed not phased by any situation. I think that is good to have. But like you said, like it's been 2 years now where this team has had expectations to do very well, and they've won 3 playoff rounds now in 2 years. That's good experience.
Tyler Mielek says you need guys that have won. Look at the Golden Knights. They had 13, 14 guys who that have won previously. Had they?
Did they?
Petrangelo?
They
had guys who had gotten to the dance. Stevenson had won.
Barbashev,
I guess. Kessel didn't play, though.
Martinez.
Yeah, okay. They had a handful of guys that had won. McNabb may have won.
Brady McNabb. What did they? Are they going from the Kings?
Yeah, wasn't he a King when they won?
Yeah, but he might have been like his 7th defenseman.
Yeah. Okay, so if you want to use the Golden Knights as one example of like guys that have won, and you in a way need to like remove like those Lightning teams that won because they were going back to back to back, whatever, right?
Well, the first year they did it. Like, who did they have? Patrick Maroon,
I guess.
Like, really? Like, it is just like sometimes
the Washington Capitals in 2018 had. I don't think anybody that had won a Stanley Cup.
Or what year was that one? 2018.
Yeah, I was just looking at their roster. I'm like, none of those guys stood out as like Cup winners. The Blues, when they won, didn't have a ton of like Cup winners. They ran a rookie goalie. Like, I don't know. I just think that's one of those narratives that's a little overblown in the NHL. It's like, you need guys that have won before, and it's like, I don't know.
You need guys. It's not about
playoff experience.
Sure. You can't just go into the season being like, well, we're Cup contenders and nobody's been to the playoffs before.
Yeah, but like my argument is the Oilers have Evander Kane's been on playoff runs now with Edmonton, with San Jose. McDavid and Draisaitl have been on playoff runs, proven they can perform in the playoffs, all of that stuff. Zach Hyman's now been on playoff runs. Go down the list of all the important pieces. Darnell Nurse has now been on playoff runs. Matthias Ekholm's been to a Cup final before. These guys have been on playoff runs. And I think you can't just go into the offseason being like, we need guys who got rings on their finger. Because you don't.
I'm looking at this team, and I don't know if there's anybody. Maybe Matt Niskanen?
No, he was like a flyer and stuff.
Wasn't he a Penguin?
Okay, yeah. He might have won with the Pens.
Other than that, like, I'm not really seeing anyone.
Nope, I'm not either.
Jay Beagle.
Brooks Orpik would have won with the Pens, so they had like a couple.
Yeah, so maybe 1 or 2. Okay, sure. I mean, either way, like, it kind of just is what it is. I think that the recipe for playoff success is certain positional players more than experience. Mm-hmm. You need that great defenseman. You need your offensive guys. You need a goalie to get hot for 2 months. Mike McKenna on Daily Faceoff Live the other day said he's not even sure Aiden Hill is a starting goaltender in the NHL yet, right?
Yeah.
But he just got hot at the right time, and the team played great in front of him, and it benefited everyone.
You could have called every team in the NHL last summer and said, I'll give you 2 first-round picks to take Sergei Bobrovsky's contract. Mm-hmm. And they all would have hung up the phone with you. The talk in January was that guy was going to have an injury and might not play again.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Coincidentally.
I think another thing is that we don't count the luck factor enough.
Oh, big time.
The Florida Panthers were 59 seconds away from losing Game 7.
Yeah.
And they got a lucky bounce. Brandon Montour scored, and then they won it right away in OT. Right?
Definitely. Like, it is a big luck factor, isn't it? And, you know, it's the playoffs are just moments built as one, right? Like, what if Laurent Brossoit never got hurt? That's the biggest turning point.
You never would have known what Adin Hill was.
You never would have got there. They might not have even. I think the Oilers would have beat Vegas if Brossoit would have been in goal. Maybe. To be honest, they were doing very well against him.
Hill was lights out.
Hill was unbelievable,
and we thought it was going to be a turning point.
And then you look at also stuff like Jonathan Marchessault, who goes on to win Conn Smythe. He didn't have a goal until game 3 of the series against the Oilers, and then he just gets hot and just goes in these runs. And it's just moments that get you there, right? And there you go. I don't know. Vegas were a very good team this year. We underestimated them all season.
Dangerous Wade said Vegas winning was luck and the luck of no injuries. Excuse me. Mark Stone had a debilitating back problem. So how dare you?
Hey, Alex Pietrangelo. People played hard against him. That's tough on a guy.
Made up a Darnell Nurse suspension. Only gave Pietrangelo 1 game. Good times. Good memories. Let's do our player grade for today. Up on the list is Evander Kane, number 91. We're getting close to the end. Who do we got? Kane, Nuge, Connor.
Yesy.
Kane, Nuge, Connor. It's only 3 more player grades to get through for this year.
Should we do a Woodcroft one?
Yeah, sure. We can do a Woody one.
Okay.
Number 100. But today's is Evander Kane. It's brought to you by Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Here's what I got cooked up for Evander Kane. Listen, it was a tough year for him. He didn't stay healthy. Not his fault either. There are injuries where you're like, oh my God, this guy's injury prone. And then there's getting your wrists cut with a skate. And you're like, I kind of cut that guy a little bit of slack. He only dressed in 41 games, so exactly half the year. Scored 16 goals, 28 points. So he would have been, 56-point guy, 32 goals if he played the whole season. Who knows? Maybe more if you get momentum playing throughout the course of the season. You got to dig him a bit because he didn't play the full season. He had some down moments as well where he looked, I think disinterested is a bad way to put it, but he had his lulls throughout the year that we didn't see maybe in his first season with the club. I gave him a B- for his regular season. Because again, you got to knock a little off because he didn't play. -4, 28 points in 41 games is still good. 16 goals in 41 games is still good. But when you only play 41 games and you have some tough moments in there, some stretches where you didn't score a lot within that 41, you got to ding him for that. What do you think of B-?
Yeah, I think B- is probably fair. B at the most. I think too, like you said, if you play more games, you get more momentum. And also I think you got to factor in that. It's similar to Yamamoto in a way where the first 5 games coming back are an absolute dogfight.
Usually a write-off, yep.
So you rule that out a little bit. Like Kane should have probably been a 40-goal guy this season.
Yeah.
And he just didn't work out. And it's hard to really judge him on everything because of the injuries he sustained. And I'm not fully convinced he was healthy at all from the moment he got hurt against Tampa Bay to today, probably. So, yeah, that's fair. I would give him a C in the playoffs. I think he did have those couple of games where he had some decent goals for the team.
Wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. You're right. So, yeah, I think that's fair. A 99% chance of returning. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but yeah, I don't think they're moving him.
Yeah, it's not 100 because he's not like the inner circle kind of group. And if someone called you and was like, we want it really bad, I don't think you'd be like, oh, I'm not listening. Like, you can listen, but no, you're not trading Evander Kane. In the playoffs, he didn't score against Vegas. He went the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games of that series without scoring a goal. There just wasn't enough. And then you also add in, I think against LA, he scored 3, but 1 was an empty netter, I believe. One of them came in the blowout win. I didn't see enough in the big moments from Evander Kane, so I went C-. He was one of those pieces, Nuge, Hyman included, who were disappointing.
Wasn't the blowout game goal, though? Wasn't that a big one within the game? I think that was the one that gave him a 3-1 lead or something like that.
Maybe. Yep.
But either way, it wasn't enough. It looked like he had a little bit of jump in him at the start of the Vegas series where he assaulted Keegan Colasar, Tyler. Did you see that? When he was on the ice and he was punching him
in the ribs.
Oh, unbelievable. Right in the cage. So yeah, I don't know. Then we just never really saw it. His biggest moment was flipping off that lady in the crowd, of the other way around, really, in some ways. So, well, I think we'll get more from him next season. We'll be fine.
Yeah, if he plays all 82, you can pencil him in for 30, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's, again, at $5 million. If you get 30 from him, 30 from Hyman, 30 from Nuge every year, you're laughing. So, again, all he needs to do is pop home 30, and he'll be good. Jays are falling apart. I think John Schneider just got kicked out. They're not falling apart, but...
What are we looking at here?
It's 2-2 in the bottom of the 5th.
They're falling apart?
But they just made an error, and Schneider got kicked out, so, things are happening. I think they might be starting to fall apart. Maybe Schneider didn't get kicked out. Maybe it was Pete Walker. I thought the ump threw someone out.
Oh.
Anyways, Eric says, we're like 4 months away from Oilers hockey. This sucks. Yeah, we got to get through June. We got the draft coming up. Free agency might be a little uneventful, though, for the Oilers. And then we coast into summer mode. We build a new studio. We come back fresh and sexy in September. Late September, early October.
Yep.
It's the plan.
Someone called Solomon is leading the U.S. Open now.
Really? I saw Ricky Fowler was tied, wasn't he?
Yeah. Tied for first.
Yeah,
Ricky
there's two of them
Fowler
at Dash 4.
And Xander Schauffele has fallen down.
It's the Betway Other Sports Report, I guess, as we take a look at that. Justin Thomas is 3 over, tied for 60th. I'm livid. Would love to see him knocking a birdie or two down the stretch here in his final 6 holes. How are the Canadians doing? Adam Hadwin's 2 under. That's good. Corey Connors is 1 under as well. Adam Svensson is even through 13. Nick Taylor, our new boy, he is not teed off yet. That comes a little bit later on in the day. Same with Taylor Pendrith. So there's your Canadians in action. Oh, Mac Hughes hasn't teed off yet either. So still lots of guys to tee off at the U.S. Open, which is taking place at the Los Angeles Country Club.
Is it always the same place?
No, always a different place. The U.S. Open.
Very cool.
But and they
Masters
do it.
Is one place.
Masters is one place. Every other one switches around for the most part. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the U.S. Open. They give it a... Dude, I think you can look up who's hosting like the 2040 U.S. Open.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We got it nailed down.
It is weird. Like, they go so far in advance. The USGA has announced that Pebble Beach will host 4 U.S. Opens in the next 22 years and 4 U.S. Women's Opens until 2048.
Oh.
Like, it's weird how they do it. Anyways.
Good for them.
Yep.
I love watching some golf on a Sunday, though. We got the Canadian Grand Prix this weekend.
Really? Where?
Montreal. And then we'll have this as well. The U.S. Open final day.
Giddy up.
It'll be a great Sunday. My parents are away, so I'm going to be house sitting. They're going down to Seattle to watch George Strait and then also the Mariners versus the White Sox.
That'll be good.
So I'll be kicked up in the lazy boy watching some sports all day.
Some other news from around the NHL world. Ethan Bear is undergoing surgery for the Canucks. He sustained a shoulder injury at the Worlds. He will be out for 6 months. And Darren Dreger says there are a few teams poking around the Sabres on Victor Olofsson. Nothing close, but goal scorers normally draw attention. So we started the show with Frederick Olofsson news. Now we are talking about Victor Olofsson, the better of the 2 Olofssons, a guy who scores quite a bit. I don't hate him as an idea in Edmonton. The only problem is he's $4.75 million.
Do you think that's who Colorado thought they were getting?
They're like, holy shit, future considerations?
We got all of
We're in. Sakic's like calling everyone. He's like, you won't believe this. Calling him McCarr. We just got Victor Olofsson for nothing.
From Dallas. What?
Damn it, Joe. Sleepy Joe. He shoots left, so probably not actually a great fit with the Oilers.
He's off wing though?
He can.
I guess. I don't know. I like the right wing options. The others are out there, but I do like Victor Olofsson. Good player.
Davin says, let's go Elks. Did you know G-Roy freaking Simon is our assistant GM? I didn't know that.
I thought he was the GM.
No, it's
is it Chris Jones?
I think Chris Jones just wears all the hats, right?
So my dad loves the Elks. And I like the Elks as well. And he every time he goes, it's good. They're gonna win. They're gonna get it, and they never do. Did you see what happened on that final drive on Sunday when they played?
When Trevor Harris, they were just trying to score, then Trevor Harris got hurt, or the Elks final drive?
The Elks final drive. Where they literally just ran into the pile 3 times in a row.
3rd and 1.
You don't have Derek Henry on your team.
No.
Throw the damn ball.
Yeah.
I'll run it, whatever.
But the last play call, too, was just atrocious. Trying like the around the end, like just a mess.
The end zone is so big. Spread it out. Get people moving.
You're right.
Cause some chaos.
Taylor Cornelius also doesn't throw the ball that well.
No, he doesn't. What does he do well?
I don't know. The Elks are in action this Saturday, 5 o'clock in BC, taking on the Lions. Next home game is the 25th. So there we go. That's all, I think. Oh, no, we got to do Trade Machine. Trade Machine. AMA Travel Trade Machine. Check them out, amatravel.ca. Save on travel insurance, guided vacations and tours, hotels, car rental, all that. I got my car rental for my trip to Toronto/Buffalo in September and my hotel all done on amatravel.ca. I'm laughing. Today's Trade Machine 3-way deal. I asked producer Aaron. I said, Aaron, give me a name to plug into the Trade Machine. He said Kevin Hayes. I said, Aaron, damn it. We've done Kevin Hayes before. We've done a lot of players twice now, so it's fine. So I cooked up a 3-way trade. It involves Kevin Hayes going to the Washington Capitals.
Ooh.
Get them some center depth. They need a stud. They're going to move Kuznetsov to the Blue Jackets. Columbus also wants a centerman, high-end offensive piece to slide into that top six. Can't you see it now? Gaudreau, Laine, Kuznetsov, 3 players who have reputations of becoming disinterested on a team with Mike Babcock.
Hello.
And Columbus trades a first-round pick to Philadelphia. So Philly gets Kevin Hayes out of there. They get a first-round pick for him. Washington goes, hey, Kuznetsov out, Hayes in. Perfect. Columbus says, we got a centerman.
When I vision this very perfectly. Like Kuznetsov just getting back to what he was a few years ago and all that kind of stuff. Kevin Hayes, I think Philadelphia would do this trade. I think just to get out of that Kevin Hayes contract is something they would definitely want. Columbus get the centerman they need for only a couple of years, and the potential behind him is good still.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Washington would do this, though. That's the only team I kind of got a little fiddle with here. Just the 3 years on him. I'm trying to pull up the money here. Like
Kuznetsov's only got 2 left, and if they're looking to shake up that core a bit, you would save $700K in cap space.
Yeah, like I think Kevin Hayes, by all accounts, is a very good. Like people like him by all accounts, so maybe it wouldn't be too bad for them. Yeah, this is an interesting one. There's always obviously a little extra pieces here and there in these 3-way trades, but I think this is something Philadelphia would seriously consider, and Columbus need that center. It kind of fits well, and like you said, if Washington want to shake up the core, then maybe Hayes is the guy.
Maybe.
I'll take it. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I was trying to decide. I don't know who says no to this one. I just look at it all and I go, I think it checks a lot of boxes for everyone involved.
Swing that back up, Aaron. Sorry. What if the middle guy said Mark Scheifele?
So you move
to Columbus, and then you have Winnipeg instead of Washington. But Philly
does Winnipeg? No, Winnipeg wouldn't want Kevin Hayes though. They want young pieces. 4-team trade.
4-team trade.
Scheifele to Columbus, Kuznetsov to Winnipeg, Hayes to Washington, first rounder to Philly.
No, that's good.
That probably doesn't make sense for Winnipeg either. That really doesn't.
I do wonder if the trade machine could spit something out with a Scheifele Columbus. See, I wonder if I could find a way to communicate with him and get that done for someday.
Maybe that's tomorrow's show. Then.
Maybe
we'll plug it in. All right, there you go. Tyler Mulick said Ovi's trying to break the record, so I don't think Washington's going to move Kuzi. I don't know how close Ovi and Kuzi really are.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just think they want to freshen things up there, and they need someone who can be a 1C because Backstrom's not that guy anymore.
No, he is not. Unfortunately, great player. Have you seen the debates online about Feel the Thrill?
Hall of Fame case?
Yeah. There's also the Pietrangelo one, which I think
Pietrangelo's legit.
Is legit. Yeah, I think that's probably.
Does he not have Olympic golds?
He has 1 Olympic gold. He won
World Juniors.
He won in 2010. He was the captain of the World Juniors team. Is he part of the 3
Triple Gold Club? He probably is.
Yeah, he must be. Two Stanley Cups, captain on one of the teams.
He's a Hall of Famer, bro.
Yeah, I don't think that's even really.
He's been a top pairing defenseman for like almost a decade now.
What was it? Is he a first round pick, right?
Yeah, was he not first overall? Fourth overall.
Fourth, yeah.
Fourth overall in 2008. I keep clicking the wrong link. I keep wanting to find his elite prospect so I can see if he's a member of the Triple Gold Club. There we go. Found it. Let the screen load. Internet's cooperating today, Liam. Did he win the Triple Gold?
Should be at the top.
It's at the top?
Yeah, they have the little trophies.
Oh, yeah. World Junior Gold, Olympic Gold, World Cup. So not World Championship, World Cup. So he's not quite a member of the Triple Gold Club. Yeah, he's been around a ton. 2 rings, 3 NHL All-Stars.
It's not really a debate, is it?
He's
How old is he? 33?
33. So he's going to do this for another 3 years, and he's a Hall of Famer in my books.
Yeah. Phil the Thrill? I say no.
How about the top 10 of this draft? Phil the Thrill, I say no.
Yeah, I don't know. Was
right he ever a top 10 player in the league for a sustained amount of time?
Maybe for like 2 years.
But not long enough for me.
Yeah.
But again, on those Toronto teams, he was with garbage. So like maybe we got to cut him some slack.
Yeah, maybe you got to appreciate what he actually did more than where he kind of lined up.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe them. I don't think it's.
But also the whole like 3 rings thing.
Oh,
he carried Pittsburgh in one of them. HBK line was sick. But in this one, I don't really look at this one. Like he did his whole, I thought it was hilarious when he was like, 3-time champ. Toronto said I couldn't do it. Like, suck it kind of thing. That
was awesome.
It was funny, but I was like, dude, you're a healthy scratch for like the bulk of the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from Phil. And again, I think he's great. But the top 10 in 2008, Stamkos.
Nice.
Doughty. Bogosian. Okay.
All right.
Atlanta lost their team, though, so they had bigger issues. Pietrangelo, sick. Luke Shen, still a Leaf.
Yep.
And then Columbus. The draft just falls off in such a way for the rest of the top 10. Nikita Filatov.
How many games did he play?
53.
Not bad.
Colin Wilson, career bottom sixer.
Yeah.
Mikhail Bodker actually somehow played 700 games. Was decent at some points. Josh Bailey, 1,000 games all with the Islanders. That actually is good. And
impressive.
Then Cody Hodgson. But it's so funny how you look at
Hodgson.
Look at the top. It's like boom, Stamkos, Doughty, Pietrangelo. Yeah, Filatov, Bodker, sick.
Was it? Well, do you know what? At least if you're Columbus and you're looking like, damn, like who did we miss on? Colin Wilson. It's not like there's an absolute stud just hanging there.
I was looking at the best late round picks from the drafts as well. Jason Demers was picked in the last round, ended up playing 700 games that year.
Him. It's like Jesper Bratt was a 6th round pick,
and he's like at 24. He's sick. How did every team misread that dude?
Just kind of crazy what you can find in a draft. The Oilers might have one in Petrov.
Maybe
the Oilers might.
Spurgeon and Atkinson went in the 6th round that year. The Oilers took Timo Hartikainen in that round. They took Philip Cornette in the 5th. Absolute banger of a pick. Johan Motin in the 4th. He played exactly 1 NHL game. In the 2nd round that year, Edmonton did not have a selection. What the hell were they spending 2nd rounders on in 2018? And they did take Jordan Eberle in the 1st round there. So.
Do you remember that Philippe Cornette? I remember when he got called up to the Oilers, and it was like, this guy has been clicking with everybody in Oklahoma. The guys love him. He's going to come up. He's going to be a top 6 winger. Did he get a goal? Maybe 2?
I have no idea.
It's a great era, the Philip Cornette era.
Oh, there you go. We'll be back tomorrow. Jay will probably stop. Actually, no, Jay might still be in Toronto. He might be not.
Oh, he's not here.
Maybe we'll get bag milk or something, do a little round table action.
The bro down. Most assists in the draft, Erik Karlsson.
Oh, yeah, he was in the middle of that 1st round, eh?
Roman Josi, 38th overall.
John, what a draft for D-men. Carlson, John Carlson as well.
Yeah. Drew
Doughty, Roman Josi, Pietrangelo, Spurgeon, Brody.
Tyler Myers had a good career.
Johan Moten.
Jake Gardner.
Hey, good D-man.
Jake Gardner has played 640 games in the NHL and hasn't played for like 3 years.
He was in that Leafs team forever, man.
Yes.
All right, that's a wrap on today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do something. I don't know. Sherwood Ford GIANT offseason question, Betway other sports report, AMA travel trade machine, player grade for Star Mechanical, all that good stuff on a Friday edition of Oilers Nation Every Day. Every weekday, noon Mountain Time. Don't miss it. Hit the like button before you go. We'll chat tomorrow.